We have a momentous event today here at the local library where our distinguished colleague George Oláh is receiving the Semmelweis Budapest Award today from the Semmelweis University. And this is, in fact, we had many festivities this week in USC. So this is Friday culminates with the Semmelweis Award to George Oláh. And you all remember that we also, USC got the second Nobel Prize this Wednesday. So we are all in festive mood. And now I would like to request Professor Steve Kay, the Dean of the Don Seif College of Letters, Arts and Sciences, to make few remarks and introduce our distinguished guests. Steve?
Thank you, Suren. I have to say this is my favorite place to visit because out of all the departments I visit at the university, this is the only one that every time I arrive they put a glass of champagne in my hand. And that's what I call better living through chemistry. Well, I'd really like to welcome everyone here today on behalf of the USC Don Seif College of Letters, Arts and Sciences, on behalf of our chemistry department, and really on behalf of our entire academic community here at the University of Southern California. You know, it's when we really boil it down to its essence, our academic pursuits really center around the creation of knowledge, knowledge that we create through the ingenuity of our faculty, and the transmission of that knowledge, which is the way in which we teach our graduate and our undergraduate students how to think rigorously and creatively and synthetically. And then also, I believe it's our responsibility as a great research university to also be committed to the translation of that knowledge for the public good, because at the end of the day, I think our real role as academics in a research university is to be here as a community that are here to serve ultimately the public good. And it's through the creation, transmission, and translation of knowledge that we do that. It's really fantastic for me as Dean of the College to inherit amazing faculty and colleagues like Professor George Oláh. I think George really typifies exactly what I just talked about focusing on the generation of knowledge and then using that as a base to both teach and translate in society. He amazes me with his energy, with his commitment to academic excellence, on which he is very often reminding me that that's what our job is as university administrators, is to support that academic excellence. And really, in the last, I've only been here a year, it's just been wonderful to start to consider George as a close colleague and the beginnings of a friendship. So to me, it's just fantastic, and I'd like just to hear a round of applause for my wonderful colleague and friend here. We have many wonderful guests today associated with the Semmelweis Budapest Award, and I would like to recognize them, and so please just sort of take a step forward and wave when I mention your name, and we're going to recognize them as a group, so please hold back until I've called out the entire group. So it's my pleasure to welcome amongst us today our distinguished Hungarian visitors, Dr. Ágoston Szél, the rector of Semmelweis University. Yep, thank you. Oh, we'll do this at the end. Dr. Mária Judit Molnár, the vice rector. Judith, it's great to have you here. His Excellency, the Ambassador Dan Károly, the Consulate General of Hungary in New York. Dan, thank you. Gabor Takács, who's the Consulate General of Hungary in New York. No, maybe. Yeah, okay. And I am only as good as the script that they give me. This is Los Angeles, after all. And Dr. Laszlo Kelman, the Consul General, also here today. Laszlo. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished Hungarian visitors, please give them a great round of applause. And I would also like to point out today other important representatives associated with our chemistry department in the college. Professor Chi Mak, the chairman of the Department of Chemistry. Yep, you can. And Professor Charles McKenna, the Vice Dean for Natural Sciences, but also a professor in our chemistry department. So, without further ado, we should move to the ceremony, and really it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium Rector Ágoston Szél, who's going to conduct the award ceremony for us today. Rector Szél.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and guests, Hungarian and American as well, and dear Professor George Oláh György, as he has just a couple of minutes ago authorized me to call him, which was not previously a possibility for me because we have never met before. However, he has been in Hungary several times, but at that time we didn't have the opportunity to meet. That is the first time that we have seen each other, and I'm very much honored that I can be here, and I think that even though it is our pleasure to donate and confer an award to Professor George Oláh, it is our privilege to have this opportunity, and I think that the fact that we can be here has at least as many effect on Semmelweis University as the award has on the professor here. I think that most of you know a lot about Semmelweis University, and from this point of view you can even imagine what such an award can mean for us and for the awardee. But still, let me tell you a couple of words which might not necessarily be known for everybody here. We are very proud of our university because it is an old university, so to speak. It is more than 245 years old, and that is something which we are really very proud of. And probably two names must be mentioned here as far as part of the history. The one is that the predecessor of the Semmelweis University goes back to very old times, to more than 370 years. It is Pázmány Péter, the famous cardinal who has created the old Nagyszombat University, from which later on in 1769 Maria Theresia, the empress of the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, has created a faculty of medicine, and that is the birthday of the Semmelweis University, which was not called Semmelweis all the time. About 50 years ago we have given, by we, I don't mean myself, because at that time I was a medical student, or not even a medical student, even younger, but at that time it was introduced to the old Budapest Medical University, the name of Ignác Semmelweis. And we are also very proud of many things. The one is that Semmelweis University for many years, about 25 and 30 years, is teaching not only in Hungarian language but also in English and in German simultaneously, with exactly the same curriculum, with exactly the same criteria for all the three languages. And I think that this adventure, so to speak, at least it was an adventure at that time, but by now it is a custom, has helped a lot for us, not only to get a good language style and capacity for all our teachers, but also it has proved and it has given a lot to our Hungarian students, because our teachers, who are forced to keep their knowledge alive, coming from or getting sources from English and German literature, they are much better even when they teach in English. And the other thing is, which we are also very proud of, that a second time we have won in Hungary the title of being a research university, which is a word is probably not completely understandable, because every university is necessarily must have run very good research, but that was the title which has found out. And since this title is coming not only with the appreciation with the title, but also with some extra financing, it is an extremely important fact. And probably that shows you how much keen we are on very strong research activities in our university, not only in terms of actually driving our teachers and young students to join research groups as soon as possible, but also to try to be open to such situations as it is now here, when we would like to show our interest and our commitment in science with funding, with founding an award which is called Semmelweis Budapest Award. A couple of words about this award. It was in in 2009, when the Senate has accepted the notion that well-known, internationally acknowledged scientists who are dealing with the understanding of the nature and the relationship of the nature with the mankind are liable for such an award, and I think it is due for the understanding of this moment here if I tell you who were those three individuals who up to now have received that award from Semmelweis University. The first one in 2010 was Jeremy K. Nicholson, who has made a groundbreaking work in the creation of metabolomics as a new branch of science. And then a year later, in 2011, it was Sir George Rada who has been awarded by the Semmelweis Budapest Award. You must know that the Hungarian-born Sir George was the so-called father of the magnetic resonance imaging examinations. And finally, last year, it was Péter Somogyi, who is also a Hungarian person, however he is living in Oxford, who has received this award because of his pioneering research efforts of the chemical identification of various neuron types in the central nervous system and localization of signaling molecules in the central nervous system. And we are here today, 11th of October 2013, when we are extremely happy and honored that we can and we could come over here to confer upon Professor George Andrew Oláh the Semmelweis Budapest Award. And I think that probably it is absolutely clear for all of us that if such an award is given to such a extremely talented and famous person as Professor Oláh, it is a beneficial situation for both him as the awardee and for us who have decided to give this award to him. I think that it is needless to say that when we have introduced the idea that the next awardee should be Professor Oláh, and we have brought this question up in the Senate of Semmelweis University, that was with absolutely cheerful and unanimously accepted gratitude that the Senate has accepted that. So it was not a discussion about whether he is worth of this award. It was absolutely clear that the award this year should go to Professor Oláh György, whom I very thankful for this opportunity here. And according to the ceremony and according to the previously given awards, it is our duty to announce that the Vice Rector of Semmelweis University for Scientific Affairs, Professor Molnár, will tell you a couple of words about the awardee. Actually, a laudation is coming. So please listen to her words, please.
Honored guests, dear Professor Oláh. Internationally acknowledged results, significant contribution toward to understanding natural sciences and the benefit of humankind. These are the three focal points of Semmelweis Budapest Award, the highest scientific honor of Semmelweis University. During his long and successful career, Professor Oláh has proven 1,000-fold that he is more than worthy to receive this privilege. As a matter of fact, it would be better to say that he grants us the privilege to confer this award on him. First, I believe that no one would argue that Professor Oláh has achieved internationally acknowledged results. For proof, one only needs to look at the list of the Nobel laureates. Second, Professor Oláh's essential work with stable carbocations, his discovery of the magic acid system, the development of the concept of super-electrophilic activation, and the discovery of new ways for using methanol are just a handful of the vast variety of his scientific activities that undeniably widened our understanding of natural sciences. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Professor Olah's scientific contribution have developed a new approach that may mitigate humanity's dependence on fossil fuels and decrease the pace of global warming that affects our entire planet. I think we may all agree that this certainly qualifies as the benefit of humankind criterion of Semmelweis Budapest Award. Calvin Coolidge, the 30th American president, once said, "Nothing in this world can take place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." Professor Olah's determination allowed him to show his talent, to free his genius, and to utilize the knowledge he acquired through education. His exemplary devotion rightfully rewarded him with well-deserved success, and through his extraordinary scientific efforts, the world is awarded imperishable knowledge and fundamental theoretical understanding. Born in Budapest, Hungary, May 22, 1927, Professor Olah's scientific career had humble beginnings as far as chemistry went. On one hand, nobody in his family had a particular interest in sciences beforehand. On the other hand, as we may read in his autobiography, the professor didn't have a profound interest in chemistry during his high school years. If only draw an interesting parallel, here Ignaz Semmelweis, the savior of mothers and the namesake of the Semmelweis University, in fact started off as a law student before he embarked on a journey that elevated him to be one of the most influential figures in the medical history. Perhaps I am somewhat biased as a Hungarian, but to my mind, the best example of Professor Olah's talent and determination is the outset of his scientific career. He successfully overcame the challenges of the rather cruel, also thorough, educational process of the Faculty of Chemistry at the Technical University of Budapest. After becoming research assistant to Professor Géza Zemplén, the senior professor of organic chemistry in Hungary, he pursued his interest in fluorine-containing carbohydrates, which was, in his own words, a rather far-fetched notion in Hungary at the time. He even had to make the basic chemicals, such as hydrogen fluoride and fluorosulfuric acid, himself in order to undertake the experiments in his balcony laboratory. In the early 50s, he was even the student of Semmelweis University for 2 years in the pursuit of knowledge in connection with organofluoride compound-based pharmaceutical research. Whether we talk about Professor's activity at the Dow Chemical in Sarina, his Cleveland years at Western Reserve University, or his research activities at local Hydrocarbon Research Institute, it's obvious that his determination and genius forged all these periods and endeavors into one exemplary scientific career. Professor Oláh has undertaken a dizzying variety of scientific activities. He has a dozen of books and over 1,400 scientific articles published. 150 patents can be connected to his name, and he received 53 awards, including the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Order of Corvin Chain of Hungary, the Hungarian Order of Pro Merit, and the Széchenyi Grand Prize of Hungary. He is also a member of the US National Academy of Sciences, the Italian National Academy, the Lincei, the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, and the European Academy of Sciences, just to name a few. These achievements ought to rise up even in the most accomplished scientist. To my mind, to say that Professor George Andrew Oláh fulfills the criteria of the Semmelweis Budapest Award is almost a big of understatement. So, dear Professor Oláh, thank you for your contribution, and tireless efforts. And last but not least, thank you for honoring Semmelweis University by accepting this award. And now I would like to ask our rector to confer the award to Professor Oláh.
Professor Oláh, it is my very, very pleasant duty to hand this document over, and I wish you a very, very successful life in the teaching of young guys. I think that we have to learn a lot from you, and I would like to have the opportunity to learn more and more. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shall I say a few words?
Very nice, thank you.
It will be very brief. I am greatly honored, and even more so because, as Vice Rector mentioned briefly, I even attended Semmelweis, or at this time was called Budapest Medical University, on a part-time basis when I was already an assistant professor at the Technical University in Chemistry. Why I did this was that I had at the time interest first in heart medication, which was extracted for a beautiful flower, which for whatever reason is growing preferentially in Hungary overlooking Lake Balaton. And we worked out a substantially improved process for it, which was practiced industrially for 40-some years in Hungary. The second venture I had was that I got interested in fluorine-containing compounds around 1950. And this was an absolutely crazy idea at the time in Hungary, which was still recovering from all the devastation of World War II. Anyhow, we made some progress under difficult conditions, and some of our compounds were tested for biological activity, including as anti-cancer agent. And this was done by a research group led by Dr. Camille Shelley and Alexander Eckhart, who later became director of the Cancer Institute. Why this is interesting, that to my knowledge, this was one of the very first attempts to use fluorinated organic compounds in the field. And when many years later I came to USC, I met Charles Heidelberger, who was heading the new Cancer Institute, and one of the major achievements was that they really discovered the use of 5-fluorouracil. Now, things were leading me to many other fields. I won't bother you any further. But as an old boy from Semmelweis University, I am really touched by your kindness and wish you much success in the future. Thank you so much. Szeretnék néhány szót magyarul is mondani. Valaha 2 évig félidőben diákja voltam a Budapesti Orvosi Egyetemnek, és ez érdeklődésemet biológiai vagy gyógyszervonalon nagyban segítette. Utána az érdeklődésem sokféle más területre vezetett, de a fiatal magyar orvosoknak és orvostanhallgatóknak azt szeretném mondani, hogy tisztában vagyok, hogy igen nehéz a magyar fiatal orvosok vagy orvosok anyagi helyzete általában. És sokan, miután elvégezték az egyetemet, elindulnak Nyugat-Európába, ahol sokkal jobb a munkalehetőség, és hát a kompenzáció is. Azt szeretném nektek mondani, hogy a mi generációnk is nagyon nehéz körülmények között kezdett. A megélhetés rendkívül nehéz volt, de hajtott bennünket az érdeklődés, először, hogy jó kiképzést kapjunk, és utána, hogy bebizonyítsuk, hogy tudunk valamit tenni. Én meg vagyok győződve, hogy az orvosok és a fiatal magyar orvosok anyagi helyzete javulni fog, a társadalom rá fog jönni arra, hogy az orvos nem csak valaki, akinek egy pályája vagy elfoglaltsága van, de ez egy elkötöttség ahhoz, hogy segítse, gyógyítsa embertársait. Ki kell tartani, és remélem, hogy sokan közületek kitartok, és meg fogjátok látni, hogy a helyzet javulni fog. Még egyszer köszönöm ezt az elismerést, és kívánok valamennyiteknek egy sikeres pályát. Köszönöm.